Alright, onward to Triumph. Triumph. Oh, did I say that right? Yeah. Anyways, here's the rewards. They're not the greatest, but there's something you can put into sockets if you want. Oh, and the passive. You may actually want to do that just for the passives. Or was that for a different class? No, I think it was. Passive respec points are nice to get free, just like passive points. Why did I do that? Just here. Go ahead and sell. Oh, yeah, I don't have enough decks for that. Okay. Ooh, this might be an upgrade. 30, a lot less life. I don't care for the reduced charges. I'll take it from 10 down to 8. I get more usage, but it doesn't matter that much. Don't use them that often. I mean, 10 to 8, which would be 4 uses. Yeah. No, I'd rather have the life. Alright, let's do gems. Maximum energy shield. No. Not doing any casting. I don't care about those, so I'm gonna sell that. And then put away all the junk. No. And it's a grader. It's grand. Okay. I'll try it. I'm gonna show you Flask really quick, just to show that it's a thing. It's kind of a waste because you can just get Flask naturally, but if you have 3 extra, go for it. And so let's give the next tier of Flask. It's a grand. I'm about to run or no longer have problems anyways, because I'm going to go ahead and pick up that Akira's buff, because like I said, I find it to be a better buff. Okay. Normally out here is where you're first going to run into Einar doing his things, right out here in the riverways. Oh, forgot to do this. But you know, you can appear at any time randomly on a map. Really. Doesn't matter. This is so typically the wetlands. Like that. Typically the wetlands appear down in this kind of section of the map. On the left hand, very corner, lower side, in that direction. Although the crossways to go across the water here is typically in the middle, though if you have or on the right hand side, very right hand side, depending on if they're connected or not. Sometimes they're not connected, like this one isn't connected, so you have to go further over to find the cross, but the jumping skill, you can just go right over it. You can also do that with dash and with flame dash. You just have to get the right positioning. And like I mentioned before, I am moving because more quickly along with my jumps here because of using the skill, the flask for movement speed along with it. Otherwise, as you can see, you do move a bit slower. You know, I bet there was yeah, this road probably would have taken you all the way through to here. And you could have just followed the road to this point. This is another one I don't know the shape very well of, I guess, because I thought the wetlands... Here's the wetlands. Alright. Here we go. The wetlands waypoint is going to be up here, kind of. And this over in the very most upper section of the map to the left, because we're traveling a diagonal from it. It's the best way I could describe it. And this guy Oak, who is the other bandit, typically is towards the center of the map. And only has one entrance, and I don't think I've had the entrance ever face this way. And that's just... It's usually facing towards this way, towards the entrance, or this way. That's kind of weird that it faces that way. Anyways, here's the other one that you might have want to choose, just because the 1% life regen, physical damage reduction, and the global physical. It's actually not bad, and I would consider taking it, but the resistances I feel is much more powerful because it's worth... I put it on like a comparison to a passive node on the tree, and it probably Akira's is more valuable just because of the mana regen, the resistances to all, and then the crit multiplier. This one's probably worth a it's not worth a small node, it's definitely worth at least a medium node, but I feel like the other one's almost worth like a keystone in value. The keystones typically manipulate how you play the game, but if you build for them, they're usually kind of important to get. So, and there probably are worth like at least 2 or 3 passive points. Whereas this one I feel is probably worth like 1.5. And the other guys, I don't think many people take them. Most people would rather, if you know, the option would be, you know, to pick a one for sure. If you had to pick one, they'd probably go for the Oaks or Akira's almost the entire time. Because his is just not... Was it dodge and attack speed? Like 6%? That's worth like one, maybe half a maybe 3/7 of a passive. I mean 3/7, sorry. 3/4 of a passive. And that extra bit, it's probably worth at least one, maybe 1.25 passives. But this one, there's the physical damage reduction being 2%, meaning you don't need to have as much armor, because as you might have guessed, armor, as it goes up in value, becomes less valuable. So like, the first like 3,000 armor gets you like 50%, and then like the next 4,000 armor gets you like to 60. Something like that. It's not exactly like that, but it has a... It's not linear scaling. And so while it is easier for certain builds to get armor, sometimes it's just easier to get stuff that just gives you raw amount. But like I said, we're going to go ahead and build this guy with endurance charges. Endurance charges will just give you flat damage reduction, so you don't need necessarily a lot of armor. And you know, other builds do that too, where you just get a bunch of endurance charges, but the difference is usually to activate them you either need to hit something or get into danger, whereas this one's going to have a lot of armor and then endurance charges on top of it, so we're going to be pretty safe. We can take a couple hits to hopefully activate all of our endurance charges. which is one of the points of the Juggernaut build. Which is why I chose it, just because, you know, like most strength characters are like, oh, they're pretty basic to build, and, you know, they kind of make sense. You get bigger stick, do more damage. So, I mean, the point of this is to get, just get a really big stick to do lots of damage, and then make, you know, drill on a bunch of plating armor on me, so that way I not die. That's like, you know, most warrior builds in almost any RPG game. Usually what sets them apart, though, with warriors is that they have a lot of, I don't say super interesting things, but they do ridiculous things. You know, like in Final Fantasy VII, where you get, like, the Titan summons, and he, like, flips half the map. I mean, he doesn't, you know, it obviously goes back to being normal, because it's just a generated look, but still it's like, oh, me strong, me lift big rock, me smash things. And you just smash the entire map in half. Anyways. Just following this path here will get us to the waypoint. It's usually after the waypoint here that I diverge from the path, because I want to try to either find a Kira, which is either this corner up here. Let's see if we're to kill these guys really quick. Like up in this area, or over in this area, or, you know, it can be, it's usually the important places for this western forest is the first time I come through here, because they reuse the map a little bit in the second section of the 5-ax. Anyways, it's over in these kind of like areas along here where the important stuff happens, and then there's one in the middle here, which is, I mean, you can't see it, but I'm just kind of like saying it's here, is where the main, like I wouldn't say the main objective, but it's a objective, is at. The one where you kind of reopen the roads so supposedly trade can go back through or something like that. It's been a while since I read the lore. The lore in this game is kind of... Is it important? I wouldn't say it's important, but it is interesting to know. And I'm not going to spoil it. So we're going to help because I like this here. These resistances. This mana. Even though we're not going to use this. This on the tree, if we looked at it. See how these nodes are bigger, because they're, I mean, they're like the nodes you, these ones are like the in-between nodes. This is like the node you go for, and they're much more valuable. They're like, I guess they're usually worth like 1.5 or 1.75 nodes. And I would say that this one, because regen is kind of far between this character. And most people don't go for regen anyways. They're just like, I want more damage. They want bigger numbers. So to get a little bit of regen here is a pretty good thing. And if you're going to go crit at all, you must definitely go for it. Otherwise you'd go for the 2 passives. Or sometimes Oak, but that's kind of rare. I mean, it's instead of, if you're worried about mana, there is jewels you can get that fit in the sockets like these. So these are for jewels that have either regen or stuff like that, or you can get like this one that increases your mana and reduces cost. It's a similar effect. There's stuff you can reduce flat costs as well. That's not what I'm looking for here. Well, now that I have Resolute, I don't need this anymore. But where is I? So that 5, okay, plus 5 regen. So no, 15%. I don't think there is any that gives just raw 15%. Okay, this one gives 12. Actually, if you zoom out, what you can do is you can search here. So this, okay. So now highlight all the nodes that have resistance in them. Resistance in it, or the word resistance. On the tree. And you can actually, if you wanted to like look for crit, you could use that and just kind of zoom out and look, oh, these are all the crit nodes. Something like that. So if we're talking about all resist, there probably 12% is going to be the highest of just all resist. You can get like 15% here with just one. I think that all resist, yeah. Okay, so yeah, so it's, I don't see any, and I'm not going to spend that long looking, but it's worth probably a node just for that resistance alone, and then you get the regen, which is worth probably one small passive node. So, and then you could probably consider like 2 nodes worth, what I would think of. Or maybe 2 nodes in like bit. Okay, now that we have that, we actually don't have to worry about mana anymore either. Because this melee skills don't use a lot of mana. I mean, it's 5 per second, plus your base amount, which brings me up to, let's see, mana regen per second up to 8.2. So I could use this skill at least every second, and it would bring me, and it wouldn't cause me a problem. Okay, now we're gonna do this. I think that if the bandit, like, wait, is it Alira? Oh, that was her name, not Akira. If the bandit is on this side, I think the other optional thing to get, not optional, the other part of the main quest line thing is over here. Also, this one, this is what you need. You need to kill this guy to get this. That way you can go ahead and free up the roads. Alright, Grand Flask. And oh look, now you can go through now. Then you go back to, what's his name, and get a passive. But I want to go over here first, because I believe this is where the spiders are. And the spider, the spooter, is where you need to get the web spinner, which is, it's a spike. You need the spike plus the poison gem to go ahead and go through the wetlands, through the waypoint there, there's the trees. You get the spike from here, you usually go back to the main camp after you drop this off, and they tell you, oh, you need to come, go over there to the western wetlands, or not the western forest, and get my spike, so that way you can get it with the poison gem. Or I think it's maybe the poison gem first, or the poison gem first, and they send you back over to where the crossroads were. And the crossroads was that first, or that section after the den, the first section there. And then so I'm just kind of skipping through it and trying to go, basically grouping up things together to make things more efficient. Although I don't know if that makes up for the fact that I, explore way too much of the map. So that way I guess it's more time out there in the field and killing than going through, I guess maybe some of the major portion. I don't know if it's as efficient, but then speeding through the maps and killing no enemy, or killing very little enemies, and going in order, which is slow you down, or if it's just to kill enemies and get levels. But it probably is this way, more efficient to do. Right. Oh. Oh, and your Leech Slam, you can actually make builds based off of your Leech Slam. I don't remember it being a super terribly powerful skill or damage. Most people use it for travel, but it's not a bad one. People like Math will make builds off of all sorts of things, and I believe he wanted to do like a Thor's jump build. basically you superhero jump, do a leap slam, and do a bunch of damage. But I don't think he ever got it to do enough damage on its own, so I think you can do like a concentrated path, it's called, and that was similar, but it was actually a more designed damage build. Our path is kind of a more, it's a movement skill, but also mainly a damage skill, and it kind of teleports you around, so you can use that. I don't think Leap Slam is one you can really do, although there are some things that boost movement skill damage. I don't think it's one of those ones that boost it enough. Here we go, here's the spike. Oh no, I'm still surrounded by spiders. And as you can see, I can tank quite a bit of hits, and this is all because this build is so just designed for being hit in the face and not caring. We were gonna teleport back. If you don't have teleports, scrolls, you can always just click out, or, you know, hit escape, go to character select, pull back in, and it'll put you back in town. I'm gonna go ahead and bag and pick up that extra passive. Alright. Passive, passive, going to be passive. Don't care about what you have to say, I've listened to it once before. What do you got? Ooh, Earth Shadow. Ooh. This is kind of an awkward skill. I wouldn't recommend it. Mathil tried using Mathification. If you haven't watched those videos before, he's a pretty popular Path of Exile YouTuber. And he tried to do a build with this, and he couldn't get it to work very well. It just has some... It has too small of an area that it does when it hits, and it has certain like range requirements to work. It needs more work before it can be like super useful, but it's not a bad skill. Sunder, they moved this from where it used to be. It was a really good leveling skill. Static strike, no thank you. Elbow. This one's really good. Especially if you have high amounts of attack speed, because you're just building lots of the debuffs on them and they explode and just hits a bunch of enemies around you. But I don't plan on building that. I'm gonna go ahead and... Earth Shatter sounds fun. I've been using Ground Slam for a while. And I'm kind of getting tired of using it. Although it is a good skill. And if I had a Val version, it'd be even better. Or a Vol version. This was reworked recently. I'm gonna pick up Earth Shatter and take a look at it. Replace my Ground Slam. Okay. Oh yeah. Here's something. But I don't have. Oh, I need. Okay, well, whatever. Let's see. Okay. No, I can't use that. Tar 24. So I'm just gonna keep that. Oh, shit. Okay. Well, I'm gonna stop there. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.